The Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Reaper Apparel Company. Reaper Apparel offers a casual line of superb fit, finish, and comfort. We design for those who refuse to die slowly and choose to live untamed. For those who aren't afraid to face the dark, for the ones that thrive in it, and for those who can appreciate life through a grim lens. That's Reaper Apparel Company. Go to the link in the description of this episode, use the promo code Mike Bono, and get 10% off. Also, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by my own personal merch store, the Stupid Should Hurt merch store. I have hats, I have t-shirts, hoodies, coffee mugs, water bottles, notebooks, you name it, I've got it. The description and the link for that will be in the description of this episode. Also, right now, if you use the promo code WELCOME, I will give you 5% off of your first purchase. That's the Stupid Should Hurt merch store. Also, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Tactical Brotherhood, all American-made apparel, which helps support the Second Amendment. You can also find all this in the description of this episode with the link, Tactical Brotherhood. Part of every proceed does go to helping veterans, as it is a very good cause. All American-made products made right here in Minnesota. Go and check them out. Use the promo code PATRIOT15 to get 15% off your purchase. Now, let's start the show.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Ride Home Rants podcast. This is, as always, your host, Mike Bono. I have a great episode for us, and an annual episode. We will be breaking down the NBA season as the season is quickly approaching us. I have a panel of guests for us here, but first and foremost, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Sweet Hand Sports. Elevate your game with Sweet Hand Sports. Our sports gloves are designed and formulated for ultimate grip and durability. Achieve greatness with every match. Choose Sweet Hand Sports for the winning edge. Grip your victory at sweethandsports.com. Use the promo code Mike Bono. Or no, not Mike Bono. I'm sorry. We changed it. It's Bono10, and you will save 10%. Again, Sweet Hand Sports, promo code Bono10. Also, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Buddy's Beard Care. Buddy's Beard Care provides premium men's grooming products at an affordable price. Products are made in Ohio, and Buddy's Beard Care supports local. The majority of their supplies are from other Ohio-based companies. This is a great cause, helping out Ohio. You can also find them on social media at Buddy's Beard Care or online at buddysbeardcare.com. Use the promo code Bono15 and he will save you 15%. Lastly, the Ride Home Rants podcast is thrilled to have this new sponsor in Deemed Fit, a clothing apparel company from first responders for first responders. All the proceeds go to helping veterans and first responders alike. They're phenomenal. I'm wearing one of their hats right now. I support everything that has to do with first responders, their mental and physical health. This also has to do with a lot of them that had to work through COVID. So it goes to a good cause. Check them out. Mike Bono, the promo code, save yourself 20%. All those links are in the description. Check them out. You won't be disappointed. That being said, I'm going to have my guests introduce themselves. I have the usual suspects here for our round tables, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to start with everybody's favorite manager of the podcast. I need your name and to answer, was Mike Alstott an underrated or overrated NFL player? And are most people truly happy? Fitty, let's start with you.
Well, everybody knows me. I'm Fitty. I think I should just legally change my name to Fitty because it's been so long with me going by that. But I would say Mike Alstott was an underrated NFL player. I think he belongs in the Hall of Fame for sure with what he did at his size. And I would say most people, if they were truly, truly honest, would say they are not happy with what is going on in their life. So I would say most people are truly not happy. Probably 60% out of 100% are not happy.
All right. Mike, let's go to you.
Yes, Mike Worrell. I'm from Ohio. My wife's from Ohio. Currently in Illinois, although I was in West Virginia for about 5 years recently. And to answer Fitty's two questions, Mike Alstott was probably not underrated to his team and teammates and coaches. I enjoyed watching him play. He was an old school player, competitor. I'm sure to the media and the general public, I would say he's probably is overrated. And are most people happy? I would say no. I'm miserable 75% of the time, I would say. When I was coaching, it was probably 90%. So it's come down a little. So there's my answer on that.
As long as it's coming down, as for. But next on the list, we got JJ.
JJ, Austintown, Ohio. Mike Alstott, overrated. Like, everybody praises Mike Alstott. I just feel like he's just a little overrated. Not a whole lot, a little. And are most people happy? I'm going to say 70% of people are not happy.
All right. And we're going to talk about that Mike Alstott answer here in a minute, JJ. But I got to get Tony in here.
Hey guys, my name's Tony. I'm from Shaker Heights, Ohio. I will say that Mike Alstott is underrated because you don't see fullbacks a lot anymore. I don't have really the best memory of watching him play, but he definitely served well in his position. And are people happy? Judging by the Browns season, no. I'm going to say that the majority of people are not happy.
I'll say, 100% of people in Cleveland aren't happy with the Browns at all times. Mike Alstott, 100% underrated as a fullback. JJ, don't you make that face at me. I'm not saying that because I'm a Bucs fan. He was like Mike said, he was an old school, put it in your face, pounded it down the middle, and he was fast. Just you don't see a fullback that can move like that and catch out of the backfield. I think he should be a Hall of Famer. I think, yeah. Bring him to Canton. Bring him to Ohio. He'll make people so much happier having Mike Alstott in Ohio and Canton.
He's a fullback. He does what fullbacks are supposed to do. He's doing his job.
Yeah. How is that overrated?
Like, I just feel like he was, don't get me wrong, he was one heck of a football player. Very physical, run through people. But that's what fullbacks do.
And he had speed for a fullback.
He had decent speed, but
give me a decent speed. He was outrunning people after he ran people over.
But that was back in the day when linebackers were like not that athletic.
Oh, so you say in today's NFL he wouldn't make it.
Listen, in today's NFL, he would be a tight end, maybe. That's if he can learn how to catch the ball.
He cut out the backfield all the time.
Man,
you got to remember. He played against guys like Brian Urlacher, and he played against guys like Ray Lewis, and dominated those guys at the point of contact. And there ain't linebackers like that in the NFL no more.
You're not allowed to hit like linebackers hit back then.
True. That's very true. But, I mean, in today's NFL, he would be getting flagged for lowering his head.
You're right about that. Yeah, he lowered his head a lot.
Yeah.
We're getting off topic here, though, guys. That question, though, but we're going to start and talk about all things NBA. Mike, I want to start with you on this one. Who is the best team in the NBA to start the season?
That's a hard question. And I was wrong last year. I think I took Phoenix and Milwaukee to get to the finals, and it just didn't work out for those two teams. As I'm watching the Cavs-Pistons preseason game here, I'm worried about my Cavs. They're playing everybody tonight. The Pistons have like 62 points the first half and are leading them. But I will say the top two teams as of today, it could change like 4 or 5 times during this long season. I'm going to say Oklahoma City in the West and Boston in the East.
Okay. All right. Tony, what about you?
I'm going to have to say that the best team, obviously, you got to go with the defending champs, Boston. Boston's going to be the best team out in the East. And I'm going to say Minnesota out of the West.
All right, JJ.
The best team in the NBA is definitely the champs, Boston. They're the champs until somebody beats them. So it's definitely Boston number one. And they're coming out the East. And then in the West, man, it's tough. I'm going to go with the LA Lakers.
Oh, Lakers. All right. JJ, we're going to have words after this.
Oh,
show.
yeah. You already know where this is heading.
I do. I already know where you're going with this. Biddy, see if you can save us here.
I would say probably the best overall team in the NBA right now. Not saying they're going to win it, but based off talent, then they have the most talented player and a great supporting cast is the Philadelphia 76ers. Paul George and Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid are pretty talented. Not saying they're going to be the number one seed or anything, but just saying they're probably the most talented. Then if I have to pick a runner up, I'm probably going to say the Thunder because they're pretty young and they're pretty athletic.
Okay. Was not expecting the Sixers as a pick from anybody on this panel, but I'm not necessarily mad at it. They made a lot of moves in the offseason, so we'll see what happens with that. That's
I don't know, man. Paul George just folds in the playoffs every year.
We're just talking to start the season.
Okay, regular season.
Yeah, to start the season,
they'll be world
pretty
beaters.
talented.
Oh, they're going to be good in the regular season for sure. They're probably going to be 2-3 in the East. They'll kill the regular season, no doubt.
FYI, Fitty, Paul George is already hurt. I'm not sure how long he's out. But
yeah, he has a
sorry to bring that up.
If we're just talking talent, I gotta go with the 76ers.
All right. Well, Fitty, on that note, which team has the most to prove?
We'll be back after a quick break. If you want the most hilarious stories from military service, we're talking about shenanigans, pranks, mistakes that are funny. Check out the Camo Comedy Show podcast, available now on all podcasting platforms. And that's 2 M's in Camo, CAMMO. Check us out now.
I think the team that has the most to prove is probably the Lakers. And here's why. You have two guys there in LeBron James and Anthony Davis, whose careers really have not excelled there at all. You have a first-time head coach who has no experience coaching at any level, and JJ Redick, and you're under pressure of the LA Lights. So I think they're the one that have the most to prove because you have LeBron James in the twilight of his career, no longer a top 10 player in the NBA. You have Anthony Davis, arguably, who could be a top 10 player, depending on your rankings, and a first-time head coach there, and LeBron playing with his son. So I do think they have the most to prove.
All right. JJ, what about you?
I'm going to say the Philadelphia 76ers, just because Paul George has never really gotten the job done anywhere he's been. And then Embiid and his, he's been injured most times for the playoffs, but he hasn't been able to get over the hump either. And now they're teaming up. So, I mean, this is their shot to prove that they can actually get it done and not have any excuses.
All right. Tony, what about you?
Well, James took my answer. I was going to go with Philly. I'm going to have to say the LA Clippers because they've only made one Western Conference Final appearance in their franchise history. And the Clippers have always been, they're always a perennial playoff team, but they can never seem to make it past the second round no matter what. And if Kawhi stays healthy, maybe the Clippers can make a deep run. And they've got that new arena, the Intuit Dome. Maybe that'll spark some sort of momentum for them. So I'm just going to go with the LA Clippers.
All right. Mike, round us out here.
Okay, I'm going to go with Fitty's team. I don't know how long it's been his team. I know the last couple of years, the New York Knicks, they have the ogre Thibodeau head coach. They've made a lot of moves, and I think he's triggered a lot of those moves. And they've made some huge trades the last 2 years. Now they've got rid of Julius and Randle, DiVincenzo, brought in Karl-Anthony Towns. And I think this is it for the ogre, Thibodeau. Like, this is it, Fitty. They can't make many more trades to finally get over the hump.
I agree with you on that, Mike. I agree with you.
That's a perfect answer, Mike, because, my next question here is, how do you see the Knicks going and doing this year? How far do you see them going?
Is this for Mike or me?
This for me, Bono?
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know how they're going to mesh with Karl-Anthony Towns, and they lost a warrior, DiVincenzo. He's a winner, but I still see them at least being able to stay in the top 4 in the East. And after that, injuries and lots of things come into factor. But I still think they could get a first round home advantage series and be the top 4 in the East.
Okay. Tony, what about you?
I think that the Knicks had their best shot at making the conference finals, but on the other hand, it saved us from New York Boston, which I probably would not have watched the New York Boston Eastern Conference Final. I'm not going to lie, but I think that the Knicks do have the talent to finish in the top 4 in the East. But you're dealing with Orlando, Cleveland, their arch rival Indiana, Milwaukee. Miami isn't going to stay down for long. I see the Knicks probably getting a first round exit.
Okay. All right. JJ, what about you? How far do you see the Knicks going this year?
They'll probably end up being 5th or 6th seed, and they probably make it to the second round before they get bounced. I don't feel like Karl-Anthony Towns are going to fit them very well. I honestly think they were better before the trade, but that still remains to be seen. But I feel like 5th, 6th seed probably bounce in the second round.
All right. Biddy, talk about your team. How far do you see them going?
I think their ceiling is the 2nd seed, and I think depending on how the seeding goes, they could make the finals. The thing is, last year when they ended up losing in the second round, it was the depth that got to them. Mm-hmm. So if you do the pieces that they had and you don't take in Karl-Anthony Towns and you leave the other guys like DiVincenzo and Hart coming off the bench and Miles McBride and Precious and probably the rookie Tyler Kolek or a couple of the other guys that they got, that bench is probably better than half of the starting 5s in the NBA. Now you lose that, and that bench and that depth. So, that's what hurt them last year. Pound for pound starting, with Cat and Mikal Bridges and Brunson and, all those guys, they'll be talented. I just don't know if they can get over the hump and win a championship. But I like the team that they had because the other key to this was, if you would have had a healthy Mitchell Robinson, probably this trade doesn't happen as well. So I think they'll finish second because they'll play balls to the wall in the regular season, all 82 games. They'll probably be a 50-55 win team. It'll just depend on how it gets shaken out in the playoffs with the seeding. Because as we've seen last year, the seeding really did matter for the East.
Pity, if I might say, I also forgot to mention they lost another glue guy, that your backup center's gone.
Yeah, Hartenstein. Yeah.
That's a key loss for me.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with you on that.
Yeah. I don't know why I'd like to see the Knicks relevant again. It kind of brings back the old 90s, Bulls, Knicks, kind of that rough and tough teams that were always seemed to be there. in the playoffs and everything like that. I'd like to see him go far. I don't think they will. But it is what it is. So Fitty, let's go to you right here on this one. But who's the best player in the NBA right now?
I would say, because we all seen it, and I watched it in the first round, being a Knicks fan. Semi-healthy Joel Embiid is a top 3 player. A healthy Joel Embiid is the most unstoppable offensive force in the NBA, and I think we've seen that in that series. So right now, I would say a healthy Joel Embiid is the best player in the NBA. If he's not healthy, then I'm going to go with the Joker.
Okay. JJ, I see you rubbing that chin. I have a feeling I know where you're going to go with this. Please don't disappoint me right now.
I'm not going to go there because I know he's not the best player in the league anymore. So I'm debating between 2 people, and you know what? I'm going to go with Anthony Edwards. I'm going to shake it up. I really like his game. He plays both sides of the ball. Energetic, athletic, jump shot, take it to the hole, shut down your best player, and he's only going to get better. So I'm going with Anthony Edwards.
Okay, not a bad pick. Tony, what about you?
I'm gonna have to say I like the Joker for sure. He did help Serbia to a bronze medal when they honestly could have won gold in Paris, but USA said, And speaking of that USA team, I'm going to say Steph Curry, because Steph Curry can shoot threes. He may not dunk the ball, but he's a good leader. He's a good shooter. And honestly, he's just a good player.
Don't think he's lost a step yet?
I honestly, maybe he slowed down a bit, but he's still good enough to where when the Olympics are back in LA, I can see Curry making a positive impact for Team USA.
Okay.
And the Warriors too.
All right. Mike, what about you?
I had it down to 2 guys, Anthony Edwards and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for Oklahoma City. But I don't know how Edwards is going to mesh playing with Julius Randle. I just don't know how that's going to go. That will change his game any. So I put Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Oklahoma City.
All right. Not bad picks. I kind of got to agree with Fitty on this one. If Embiid stays healthy, I think he's unstoppable. I just, from what I've seen, especially over in Paris and everything like that, if he can stay healthy, watch out.
That's a big if.
It's a big if. Yeah, he hasn't been healthy his entire career. So, but if he can find a way to stay healthy, then
I think he said he's not playing any back-to-backs this year.
Yeah, it probably makes sense. I think that's typically when he starts to fade, is when they have a bunch of back-to-backs. He can't handle the back-to-backs.
And that's the reason too. Going back to the Knicks, that's why they'll get probably a 2nd seed, because guys will rest.
Yep.
And the Ogres guys, as me and Mike like to call them, the Ogres guys play balls of the wall all 82 games with no break. So that's why they'll rack up 50, 55 wins, because that starting 5 will just crush people, because they'll play consistently and they won't take any days off. That's just how Tibbs goes with his guys in games.
Bono, can I give you my underrated best player that
you 100% can?
Okay, I just want to throw that out there. If the Ogre doesn't run him into the ground, the next Jalen Brunson I want to throw. He is close to being up there, in my opinion.
Okay. Yeah. We'll see how that plays out. Yeah, I'm not sure, but I think with that there, Mike, I think I know the answer for this next question for you. And is it, if you are starting an expansion NBA team, what's the one player you are taking to start the team right now?
Are you asking me?
Are you asking me?
Mike.
I'm going to say Brunson for the Knicks. I would want. There's several I would love to have, but in a close second, Jaylen Brown from the Celtics.
Okay. All right, Tony. What about you? Starting an expansion team. Who you building that team around?
I gotta say the Joker, Nikola Jokić, because he can rebound, he can shoot, he can defend. And the second player, this is going to be out of left field. But if you really put him around the right people, this guy can definitely succeed. Ja Morant.
Okay. All right. JJ, what about you?
LeBron James Jr. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking.
It's like you want to fight tonight, JJ.
I'm gonna go with Wemby. If it's today, if I had to start one day, I'll probably take him. Just build a team around.
Okay. All right. Solid pick. Biddy.
I'm gonna go with one of Mike Worrell's Warriors here, and I'm gonna go with, because he can do everything and he's relentless. I'm gonna pick Josh Hart, because the guy can start and the guy can come off the bench, and if you have that type of energy infused into your team, it elevates everyone around you, that you can play 48 minutes, 45 minutes nonstop as a 6'4" power forward. A guy like that elevates everybody else around him. So I'm going to go with Josh Hart, one of Mike Worrell's Warriors. That's a tongue twister right there, too.
Yeah. I'm surprised you got through that one, honestly. I wouldn't have been able to do it, but I got to go Luka for me. I think just his talent alone and his sheer size and just being able to, just how he carries himself. Yeah, I'd start it around Luka would be my go-to there. Fitty, let's stay with you. Who's the best coach in the NBA?
I got to say it's Eric Spoelstra. And here's my reason why. He has coached through the good, the bad, and the ugly with the Heat. And he coached in the really, really good times, and he went to 4 championships with LeBron and won 2. But he also went to 2 championships without LeBron James. And ain't too many people usually surviving with LeBron James as their coach. So, he came through and he persevered on that, and he was undermanned in those couple finals against the Lakers and LeBron during the fake championship with COVID.
Oh, my goodness.
It was a fake championship. They were all fake that year.
It went
goodness.
Went sick.
It was fake.
No,
it was a fake championship.
Oh my!
Not COVID wasn't fake. The championship was fake.
Did the rules change when they were playing that championship game? I don't know. Did the rules change?
It was all fake. They didn't have to play the whole season. People didn't have to, come back and play games. Whatever. It was just it was all fake. All the sports, the championships have an asterisk that year.
No asterisk.
They have an asterisk, but in all seriousness, Eric Spoelstra's coached a bunch of undrafted free agents, guys from Division III basketball, a bunch of guys that were cast off, and he has flourished with those guys. So I got to say Eric Spoelstra.
Okay, JJ, what about you?
Let me see here. I'm probably going to go. Hey, that's a hard one to follow.
Because you want to say Eric Spoelstra too.
I know.
He does. I can see it in his face.
You can say it.
I'm just gonna say Eric Spoelstra because, I'm gonna piggyback on what you said. I mean, he was there. He was a video guy. Worked his way up. Coach LeBron survived that, and still got back to the championship with a different team. And they're still good now. Like, they're probably gonna. If Jimmy Butler stays healthy last year, they probably make a run to the Eastern Conference Finals. So, yeah.
All right. Tony, what about you?
I'm going to piggyback off of what those other two guys said. I believe it's Eric Spoelstra, but I'm going to go a little bit deeper into it. He's only missed the playoffs twice in his coaching career, and by no more than 2 games. There was one year Miami was 11-30 at the halfway point of the season, and they finished 30-11 and only lost out in the playoffs on a tiebreaker. And he helped lead an 8-seeded Miami to the finals, where they lost to Denver. And that Miami team was 3 minutes from losing to Chicago. I think if DeMar DeRozan's daughter was there in the audience screaming at every Heat player, they might have lost that game. But that's another story for another day. He just does a lot with a little. And the Heat culture, you could tell they have a really great culture because even if they don't have the best season, they're always playing hard and they've always you can never count them out no matter what.
Okay. Mike, why is Eric Spoelstra the best coach in the NBA? Since that seems to be everybody's answer.
You should know my philosophy on that by now, Bono. If you have good players, stay healthy, you're probably a pretty good coach that year. If you don't have good players, get a lot of injuries, what have you, things go, then you weren't a good coach that year. So like right now, Jason Kidd and the Celtics coach are the two best coaches in the Celtics because they won it all. I think the best coaches this year will be the two coaches that get to the NBA Finals. They'll be deemed as the top two hot item coaches, and the media will go nuts how great they are that year. That's how I stand on it.
Well, Mike, let me say this though, Mike. Let me say this, right? The thing though with Spoelstra, he's coached a bunch of nobodies though. Like people don't even say Popovich anymore because he had some of the best players in NBA history on his team with David Robinson and Tim Duncan and Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker. And without them guys, he's basically a bum. Like he can't coach nothing. Eric Spoelstra's taken D3 players in the NBA, D3 players, and made them very, very good players and a bunch of undrafted free agents. So I know we always talk about this, Mike. The Heat culture is a real thing, like Tony said. You think greatness, it's somebody like Eric Spoelstra who elevates players. Where Popovich was elevated because of his players. He didn't elevate those players to greatness. Those great players elevated him to greatness. Spoelstra elevates his players. That's a hard thing to find in coaching, as we all know. And Mike, you know that because you're a longtime coach.
Yeah. I knew Mike was going to give a PC answer there and say
Biddy, can I assume you're talking Duncan Robinson, who played 1 year Division III?
Yeah.
Then he transferred, was 3-year starter at Michigan.
At least that's 3 player.
Right. And I do know they had 2 All-Stars last year, Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Buckets. I like Spoelstra. But when he wins big, he has some good players. I'm not disagreeing with anything you say, Fitty. I'm not. And Jimmy Buckets and him are on the outs this year. I don't know if they'll make the top 8 in the East.
That's tough. And Mike, I might hold you to an answer on this one. So we're going to go to you on this one here. So who's your NBA Finals preview?
Oklahoma City Thunder. They were the top seed in the West last year, and they might have got knocked out in the second round. I think that, a lot of young guys. They got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and they picked up Hartenstein from the Knicks, going to be a great backup center for them. They also got this Alex Caruso, who was a key guy, when the Lakers won it that year. They just picked him up from the Bulls. Those will be 2 really good hard-nosed role players for them. And I guess if Boston stays healthy, they made it look easy last year in the playoffs, and they got a lot of breaks with other teams in the East being injured and all when they played them. But I see injuries not a factor, Oklahoma City and Boston.
Okay. Tony, what about you?
I would have to say, as far as the finals goes, I'm going to just go on a complete whim and say Philadelphia finally gets to the finals. And I take Philly against... Man, this is going to be tough. I say Philly against Minnesota. 2 teams that haven't really had a lot of deep playoff success. I say the finals will be Philly and Minnesota because the West is stacked and the East is honestly kind of stacked itself.
Okay. Randy, what about you?
I'm going to go with the Nuggets because I still think their championship window is there. And I'm gonna say kind of as a fan, but I do like what they're doing. I'm gonna say the Knicks. I think the ogre finally gets to the finals, and he shows that he is a good coach because he is a brilliant basketball mind, and guys will play through pain and injuries and everything else for him. And Brunson I think will take them, and Josh Hart. So I'm gonna go with the Knicks and the Nuggets.
Okay. JJ, what about you?
I'm going to go, coming out the East, I'm going to go with Philly. And then coming out the West, I'm going to go the LA Lakers. And in shocking fashion, LeBron James leads them to another championship. And then a rookie head coach wins the championship. Look at that picture. I mean, I can see it right now.
Well, if the Lakers win a championship, I'm retiring as the manager of Ride Home Rants, and JJ, you can take over.
Yeah,
Ride Home Rants.
I'll shut the show down. I'll shut it down right now.
I think that if the Lakers win, LeBron James retires. Like LeBron James announces his retirement right then and there.
Oh yeah, After he wins it this year, he's going to announce his retirement. For sure.
You're probably not wrong. And JJ, you kind of answered the next question because my next question was who's going to be the NBA champion. I mean, you already said it's the
Lakers.
It's the unfortunate Lakers.
It's the Lakers
with King James.
Oh my God! I'm not the biggest Lakers fan, but come on, man.
Wow.
It's not even a hate for the Lakers thing. It's just I'm tired of hearing about LeBron James. That's just really what it amounts to. Is I'm tired.
Listen, I mean, when you've been in your prime for your whole career, I mean, I guess everybody gets tired of him. I understand. Nobody's ever done it at this level at his age. There's waiting for him to fall off a cliff, and it ain't happening. It's not happening.
Like with Tom Brady with football.
I mean,
25 years. Kevin Harvick raced in NASCAR for almost 25 years.
I mean, there's this kind of this one guy, that did it way better than him, and it's Michael Jordan. And if you fight me. Go ahead, fight me on this, JJ.
Listen. I'm not my list. Michael Jordan's number one. Like Michael Jordan, and the reason why he's number one is because nobody's ever going to go undefeated in championships. That's it.
Thank you.
That's got him the number one spot in me. That's it. That's the deciding factor. LeBron James number 2, Kobe 3, and then after that it gets a little tough. Like I'm an Iverson fan, so it'll be like number 4 and so on. But that's the only reason I have Michael Jordan above LeBron James on my list.
Shower thought. I think that if Phil Jackson doesn't get fired after the 98 season, and Pippen and Jordan comes back, I think the Bulls and Lakers face off in the 99 finals. And I think hear me out. The Lakers win the 99 finals and then Jordan retires after the 99 season, but doesn't come back for the third time. Like a changing of the guard.
Yeah, no, Jordan wasn't giving up nothing. He wasn't handing nothing over. He probably would have. No, he wasn't having it.
he's still not. I mean, there was a question that somebody asked him that if his Bulls team could beat, and I think it was when LeBron was with the Heat, and asked if they could beat them, and Jordan goes, "Yeah, it'd probably be by 3 or 4 points." And they go, "Why such a close game?" And Jordan says, "Because we're all in our 60s right now." He said he could still beat them at his age. Like,
Mike, I think that was the dream team versus the LeBron Olympic team.
Oh yeah, you're right, Fitty. You're right. Yeah, you're right, Fitty. Yeah, but still.
And Jordan's a NASCAR owner too. His team is for a racing championship with 23XI.
Yeah, they got a couple people there too as well. I know, Tony, me and you are probably the only two on this panel that know about that. What's going on there? That's a show for another day, Tony. Benny, who's your NBA champ? Yo.
I'm a huge race guy.
Oh, you are, Mike. I forgot about that. All right, Fitty, you and JJ, you guys are out of this conversation.
We're off the island.
more sprint cars. I'm a World of Outlaw sprint car guy, but I follow NASCAR because one of my guys, Dave Blaney's from up by Youngstown, his son Ryan Blaney, so I follow him.
Former champion, the defending champion, racing for another championship in the round of 8 coming up this Sunday. Anyways, Fitty, who's your NBA champion? Wow, we got way off track there.
Even though I love the Knicks, I'm going to say it's going to be the Nuggets. I think the Joker gets potentially another MVP. He goes in the great, the realm of the greatness of, another NBA championship, another regular season MVP. I think he's right there. Then you're talking with like Larry Bird and Michael Jordan as one of the greatest players if he gets another MVP. So I think it's going to be the Nuggets. If they play the Knicks, I think they beat the Knicks 4-1 in the finals.
Okay. Tony, what about you?
I say that Philly, Minnesota will go to 6 games. I see Minnesota winning their first title in franchise history.
Okay. Mike.
I guess I picked Oklahoma City and Boston. I don't like to say this, but I'll take the Celtics to repeat. And Fitty, Joker has a beard, by the way. Did you know that?
No, I did not know that.
If you'd watch the preseason games like I do, you'd know that. I watch. Not a big, Mike, not a big beard. Kind of like Jay.
I am not watching NBA. I am not watching NBA preseason. It's like watching like a JV basketball game on a Saturday at noon.
Okay, I'm watching the Cavs Pistons right now. JB Bickerstaff's coaching for the Pistons. Cavs are playing everybody, and it looks they're getting after it like a regular season game. Sorry, Bono, I'll get off that subject.
No, you're fine. I love to hear you two bicker, honestly. Like it's like an old married couple to watch you two have an argument, and it's fantastic to me. But Mike, you already gave your answer on who's your NBA champion. I'm so lost after you two just had that little interaction.
Celtics repeat.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Although I would like to see the Ogre win it.
Okay.
The next games at Madison Square might be the most electric home court, crowd in any sport. And that organ and the organ music. How can you not like watching Knicks games without organ music playing the whole game?
Gotcha. Yeah. Oh, man. Okay. I just want to break down the series of events that just kind of happened there. Like JJ gave his answer, and then somehow we got onto NASCAR. On the NBA show, and we went from LeBron James to JJ's NBA champion to NASCAR to back to I don't know how. That was the most ADD thing I think we've had on this show so far.
That's why we're the Ride Home Rants podcast. We can rant about anything.
Absolutely. Mike, this one's for you. Should LeBron James retire, and why is the answer yes?
I have no idea, Bono. I just, in the back of my mind, I was hoping that somehow he'd finish his last couple of years, come back to Cleveland, but I don't see that happening now.
No.
It looks like there's no end in sight for him. He's still in great shape. Apparently, I'm the only one on the call here to watch preseason. I watched him. He looks like he's 25 years old out there playing. So I don't know. I guess it's up to him. Whenever he feels like doing it, he'll do it.
All right, Tony. What about you?
I think that LeBron will go as long as he remains in his prime. Like there's an outside shot we could see him in the 28 Olympics in LA for all we know. I think he'll go as far as his body takes him.
All right. Fitty, what about you?
I think this will be it. I think he's playing with his son. You don't know how the season's going to turn out with Redick as the coach. I mean, it could go down in flames, or it could be decent for him. I think it's going to depend on what happens with them. If they go get rolled in the playoffs again, I think, and he's played with his son. I just think it's time to go because no one wants you. in reality, because you're 41 years old, you're going to be 41 years old. Everybody has these young players. You're no longer a top 10 player in the league, maybe not even top 15, probably top 20, and you are, in all seriousness, though, you are someone who has gotten every coach you were at, except Miami, fired, or multiple coaches fired. That's a hard thing to take too, as you're a coach. Do you really want that, on your team? So I would think in his best interest, it probably is to retire, because I don't think there's a pathway. I know we all joke about it, and JJ says it as a fan, but I don't know if there's really a clear path for him to ever win a championship again. And that window might be completely slammed shut, because there's so many other good players and great teams right now.
Yeah, absolutely. JJ, president of the LeBron James fan club. Why do you want to see him die on the court at 100 years old?
Because listen, he's earned the right to go out on his own terms. He's probably going to be playing to his other sons in the league. And then after that, he's probably going to be partial owner of the Lakers after that. He's never going away. He's going to be on your TV screen for as long as you guys are watching basketball. He's going to be front and center. So let's get used to it.
I agree with that 100%, man.
I mean, he'll definitely be part owner of a team. I don't think it's going to be the Lakers. I think Cleveland kind of accepts him back. He'll go there. But it might not be. Tom Brady shocked everybody and is now a partial owner of the Raiders. So it might. Yeah, who knows where that'll happen? But yeah, he'll be he's never leaving the NBA in any way, shape, or form. Unfortunately, it's just gonna rot in the back of my cerebellum forever. JJ, last question here. Which coach is the most underrated in the NBA?
I am going to go with JJ Redick. Everybody thinks he's going to fail. It's going to be a big circus. It's going to go down in flames. And I think he's going to surprise a lot of people. He has no experience. I understand. No high school, no college, no nothing. But we all know LeBron James is really coaching that team, so that's why they're going to succeed. And JJ Redick is going to look good in the process.
All right. I mean, I'm not mad at the answer with JJ Redick. I think, JJ Redick, albeit he was a decent player. I'll give him that. I mean, he was up there. And I think players like that make better coaches than they did.
I think he knows the game real well. In the NBA, he was a role player, but at Duke, he was the guy. I'm sure he learned a lot from Coach K. So I think he's going to be in good shape. Like these first couple of years is going to be tough, but I think with him having LeBron as a player coach, it's just going to help him out a whole lot.
I got you. Biddy, what about you?
I would say I do think the Ogre is a very underrated coach, but I'm going to say I think it's Rick Carlisle from the Pacers, because wherever Rick Carlisle's been, he's won. And he took a not very good Pacers team, and got them to the Eastern Conference Finals. So I would say he's probably the most underrated, because he did win that championship with the Mavs back in the day. So I'm definitely gonna go with Rick Carlisle.
Okay, Tony, what about you?
I'm gonna say Mike Brown, the Sacramento Kings, because Mike came from the Greg Popovich coaching tree. He coached the Lakers. He got an unfair shake when getting fired five games into one of his seasons. He led the Cavs to the playoffs, even though they should have maybe won a championship. He did help when the Cavs got back to relevance. He did was an assistant with the Pacers and with the Warriors, so he's got the winning pedigree.
All right. Mike, what about you? Round us out here for the end of the show.
Well, I want to mention Fitty bringing up Rick Carlisle. Nobody's talked about the Pacers. I just want to throw out there one of my dark horse teams this year. But the coaching aspect, I'm not going to say one guy. I think most of the NBA coaches are underrated. perception is that NBA coaches don't do anything. They just roll out the ball. They just let them play. And I disagree. Most of the NBA coaches know what they're doing. They run good stuff, and a lot of the game, a high percentage of the game, they do let those guys play. They're great players, but if you watch it, really study it, they'll run some good quick hitting sets. They do some things. They throw in zone now since zone became legal. So I think, but if you ask the normal guy off the street, it's like all those NBA guys, they don't do anything. They don't coach. But I disagree. I think to a certain degree, they're all underrated. The perception is the college guys are the real coaches. The NBA guys don't do anything, but I totally disagree with that. Now this JJ Redick thing, he's never coached, right?
No.
So I'm just wondering, maybe somebody on this panel can help me. Like, we've all tried to get jobs. And all of us on this, we get a resume, we send it in, we have somebody call for a recommendation. And how does it work that the highest level of basketball in the world, a guy can get a premier job with no experience? And I like the guy. I just wonder how that all goes down. Like, how does that happen? How's that happen?
It's not what you know, it's who you know.
I was going to say.
I think LeBron picked him. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
That is
Mike, let me throw this at you, Mike. Mike, do you think the ogre is a good coach? Like, do you think that he actually knows what he's doing, or is he a guy that just rolls out the basketball, or is he the guy grinding through tape 28 hours a day at the facility?
Yes, no, and yes. I think he knows what he's doing. Obviously, he doesn't just roll the balls out. He's in that category of NBA coach. Like a lot I put in that same category. They know what they're doing. They do a good job. Basically comes down to do they have the players that year and stay healthy? To win a lot of games.
Yeah, he's a good coach. I just feel like he wears his players out. I think he needs to save some of them I know he likes to play tough and balls to the wall, but I mean, it's a long season and you want to have fresh legs when the playoffs start.
Yep.
Yeah.
If the ogre coached in the 80s and 90s as a head coach, he might have won like 9 championships with the rules back then, and how those guys beat the living hell out of each other.
Right.
He's coaching in the wrong era. Let's just say that he's trying to bring 90s basketball back, and it's just not going to work. As much as everybody would love to see that style of basketball again, it's not going to happen. But that is actually all the time we have for the NBA preview show. So that is going to do it for this week's episode of the Ride Home Rants podcast and our NBA preview show. I want to thank all of my guests, Fitty, Mike, JJ, and Tony, for coming on. It was a lot of fun, especially all the banter back and forth and everything like that we get to have on this show, and I love that part of the show. But as always, if you enjoyed the show, be a friend, tell a friend. If you didn't, tell them anyways. They might like it just because you did. That's going to do it for me, and I will see y'all next week.
The Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by W Energy. Energy drinks made for gamers, streamers, and podcasters alike. For gamers, streamers, and podcasters alike. Go to the link in the description where you can find the best energy drinks out there. Less caffeine than a cup of coffee. Also, no jitters and no crash afterwards. Use the promo code Mike Bono and get yourself 10% off. Also, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by my favorite sponsor of the show, and that is Shank It Golf. Golf apparel made for the everyday golfer. We might not go out and shoot a 6 under par. We're probably going to shoot a 6 over par, but this is going to give us the gear that's going to help us rock it on and off of the course. Go to the link in the bio, use the promo code Mike Bono, and get yourself 10% off there as well.